Piper 555, November Sierra, New York approach. Good evening, Farmingdale, altimeter 2974.
Hello, everybody. Give us just a second. Sorting out some last-minute technical issues, and we get settled here, and we'll get started. Apologies for the delay.
Information kilo is current. Report when ready for departure. Delta 2259er, contact tower on 118.9er when ready for departure.
Golf Mike Mike. After departure, climb and maintain altitude 3000, turn left, heading 270 degrees.
2EJ 9er 5. Charlie, climb and maintain flight level 150, squawk 5224. Delta 2259er, contact Varna approach on 124.6. Allegiant Air 396, cleared
Guys,
to Cincinnati.
I'm curious, are you able to actually hear me right now?
Maintain
According
4,000,
to the thing,
expect
we're
flight
live,
level
but I have my doubts.
36010 minutes after departure. Departure on 125.3.
Look, we're live
Squawk
over here.
4523. Expect runway 18 for departure.
I think it's messing with us. We're going to have to copy. We're just going to have to move over to this other stream because it's not letting me attach to the other one. Hello, everybody. Give us just 1 second to sort out the technical difficulties, and we will get started here.
American 35, taxi to runway 10 right via Tango November Tango, Quebec Juliet. Contact tower on 119.3 when ready for departure.
JetBlue 84, copy, welcome to Orlando. Have a good evening.
American 1221, PG Indianapolis, sender, roger. JetBlue 84, turn left heading 100 vectors for the runway 23 approach.
Yeah, lots of room in
Contact
here,
Orlando
that's right.
Tower on 118.45 when established on final.
3-1, Sierra Mike understood. Continue present heading until established on the localizer for runway 26 left approach.
We'll give everybody just a minute to jump over to this stream. Sorry about that. I don't know why YouTube is not letting me latch on to that other one. It's apparently
Fly runway heading
it doesn't
until
like that
reaching
at all.
1000, then on course. JetBlue 2984, Orlando Tower, winds calm. Runway 18 right, cleared to land. Skyhawk 7774, Juliet Langley Regional Tower, winds 233 at 9er runway 7, cleared for takeoff departure to Trinity.
Delta 2259er, push back.
No problem. I know you can hear me speak. All good.
Report when ready for taxi. Skyhawk 3 Alpha Zulu cleared to land runway 35, winds 273 at 16.
We figured we would just move over to this one and call it good.
I'm not seeing your transponder. Confirm squawking 1742 mode C. Ident one more time for me. 570. Welcome to Glacier. Contact ground on 121.6.
Okay.
Piper 555, November Sierra, New York approach. Good evening, Farmingdale, altimeter 2974.
Hey, look, it's me.
Citation
I'm on TV.
972 Mike Kilo Rio ground taxi to holding point runway 20 left via Bravo, hold short of runway. Information Kilo is current. Report when ready for departure. Delta 2259er, contact.
All right, everybody, let's move this forward. I'm really excited about this. I am so sorry for the delay. It's a good thing I'm a better AI programmer than I am a YouTube streamer. There's 10,000 things that can go wrong when you're trying to string things, and I think all 10,000 of them went wrong just now. So we're gonna call it good, and we're gonna do it this way. Thanks for moving over to this other spot. And we got some, I promise to make it worth your while. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about on this stream, and I promise not to keep you very long as well. Feel free to ask questions. I love seeing the interaction. I like seeing what's going on. I like hearing, thoughts, questions as they come up, because it gives me a chance to react to those. So please consider this an interactive session. And I don't have a ton of new sort of, let's talk about this and let's talk about that I didn't cover last week, and there's a little bit of question about whether or not we'll continue to have enough content to talk about each week, but I think we will, especially when you see what we've got for you here, and next week and the week after that, et cetera, et cetera. We've got some really cool stuff coming up here. So what are we talking about today? A couple really great things. The first one is I want to say a huge congratulations to the team at Beyond ATC on the launch of their product. They've worked very hard for a long time, well over a year, on what they've been building. And if you've never been involved in a software project where you take it sort of from beginning to launch, it's tedious, it's difficult. You have incredibly hard days. You have rewarding days. But the reality is that most software projects that software developers begin, and this applies to companies and individual projects and everything across the board, but most software projects that begin never finish because it's incredibly difficult. And they should be super proud of what they've built. It's a fantastic product. We've taken very, very different design philosophies. I've talked about that before. But it's what they've done and what they've targeted to do. I hope they're proud of it. I know, launching a new product is always difficult. Nothing goes the way that it's supposed to. You've got bugs that have to be dealt with, on and on and on. But that's just the reality of software development. And you sort of, slog through that, and everything is nice once you get through it and on the other side. And, I hope they're proud. I love what they're doing, and the great thing is that all of you guys win when there's lots of people involved. We get ideas from each other. We try to stay ahead. It's very motivating to see so many different people working on these problems, and make no mistake about it. These are really, really hard problems that we're solving. Really difficult problems. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be on Rails. There's been some discussions this week from some well-known streamers that have sort of looked at what we're doing and what others are doing, and this term on Rails comes up a lot. Menu-based on Rails, et cetera, et cetera. I want to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about the taxi problem. This is something that we're all dealing with right now. How do we get an airplane from, the parking spot to the runway? It seems like, it's the simplest phase of flight, quite frankly. And yet it's the one that has the most challenges. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about what we're working on this week. And then we're going to talk about the long-term roadmap and reiterate some of the things that we're working on there as well. So here we go.
381, Austin, your radar contact 5 east of Austin, indicating 2,700. Turn right heading 170, vector for 36 right.
170, United 381. We've got a flap issue. We're going to need delay vectors.
United 381, roger, then amend the heading a 110.
110, United 381.
United 381, you need any assistance?
Stand by.
Sounds good. I'm going to give you the next controller. He's going to hold you out there, let him know what you need. If you need the longer runway, you can plan 36 left.
Yeah, we may. We'll stand by for the holding instructions of the next controller, United 381.
United 381, contact approach 127.22.
2722, United 381. Approach United 381, level 3000. We're going to need holding for a flap issue.
United 381, Austin approach, roger. You can expect that. About how long we need to hold out?
Probably 10 minutes, at least.
Give me a moment and I'll put you in a spot that works.
Roger.
United 381, turn left heading 050.
Left 050, United 381.
There you go. I thought it would be interesting to start with that little set of audio clips, because one of the things that I've heard, several times, not just this week, but in weeks prior, is, having an ATC system that's on Rails is good because ATC is on Rails. And while that's true by the manual, there are a lot of situations where an on-Rails ATC system actually works. So let's talk about some of those. The on-Rails experience for air traffic control, actually, the air traffic control system in general is designed to function smoothly in this situation. But when you've got a complete flight plan with every detail accounted for, the on-Rails experience is going to work. But you also have to make sure that everything in that flight works out precisely the way that it was planned, or something's going to break down. We also have to make sure that weather's not a factor. We all know that weather's constantly changing. Situations are adjusting in real time, and pilots are constantly making decisions about weather. We got to make sure NOTAMs aren't a thing, right? Because that completely alters the way that air traffic control is responding to situations as they come up. We also have to make sure that we have a perfect pilot that never makes any mistakes and that never needs any special assistance. We got to make sure that we don't care about learning how it works, right? If we're curious and trying to learn, how to be better aviators, et cetera, then the on-rails experience actually isn't doing us any favors. And the reason for that is because you never learn how to truly interact with ATC. All you learn is keywords and menus, right? And so the education side of it, the part where you say, look, I'm really going to learn to talk to air traffic control, implies that air traffic control could do something that you're not expecting, or that you can do something that they're not necessarily expecting. So it's a critical part of the training factor if we're going to learn to be good aviators. And then finally, the on-rails experience only really works well when your simulator's got 100% of the data that's needed to generate a realistic flight experience. That on-rails experience demands that all of the correct data be there at the correct time, or the decision-making process falls apart, right? Now, there is one time when the on-rails experience doesn't work, and it really falls apart when it's aviation, right? Because if you look at this list of things that can go wrong, that can cause that on-rails experience to fall apart, every one of those are simple factors of aviation. They're things that make pilots pilots. If these things weren't factors, then AI could just drive airplanes, right? We wouldn't even need pilots. So because of aviation, because flight plans aren't complete, perfect, and have every detail accounted for, because flights never work out precisely the way they're planned, because weather is a factor, because NOTAMs are a thing, because there's no such thing as a perfect pilot that never makes a mistake, because we do care about learning how aviation works and how ATC comms work, and because we live in a world where our simulators don't have 100% of the data needed to generate a realistic flight, that on-rails experience kind of falls apart. Now, we've taken a very different design philosophy compared to the other ATC programs out there, right? Our philosophy started out as, look, we're just going to build the best possible ATC solution we can, and we're going to ignore things like price. Now, was that the best way we could have done it? I don't know. We could debate that. It's where we started. I look at where we landed, and what we've built is incredibly cool. But it is a complete departure from the design philosophy of other solutions, which say, look, we're going to try to build something that's pretty cool, but it's accessible to everybody, and that, anybody can run and use regardless of your skill level, regardless of your budget, et cetera, et cetera. I think that there's room for all of these approaches in this world. And certainly, based on the amount and the cost of the technology associated with the approach that we've taken, I fully recognize that this is just not going to work for everybody. I get it. I hate to harp on price, but it's kind of the one thing when you put the solutions that are out there and you put them side by side against us and you say, all right, which one's the best? It's us. There's not even a close second, but that price is a real challenge, right? So let's sort of move on from that, but I did want to address it because it comes up a lot, and I continue to hear people say, oh, ATC is on rails, ATC is on rails, therefore an on-rails solution is the right answer. Guys, ATC is not on rails, and I hope that audio clip that you heard at the beginning of this demonstrates why that philosophy just makes absolutely no sense at all. So let's talk about taxi for a minute. The question is, and I love this, why can't anyone get taxi right? And I'm going to name for you all of the excuses that we've made over the short time that we've been in business. By the way, we're at about 3.5 months right now. So during the 3.5 months that we've been around, let me go back here. what are all of the excuses that we've made as far as why the ATC system can't get you from your gate to the runway with any degree of success? Well, the data inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator is terrible. There's no question about it. And I think, I would hope that Microsoft would be the first one to sort of admit that, and, admit that there are challenges with the taxi information inside this. By the way, I'm hearing reports that we've lost audio. Is that true? Or is it? Okay, good. All right. Yeah, still good. So the data inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator isn't great. Great. Okay, so now what? What can we do if that data is not good? Well, we have applications like ForeFlight is a great example, where we get these moving map applications, and you can see your airplane and it moves along the taxiway, and people say, oh, well, let's just use that, right? Well, you actually can't, because that data is under lock and key from a company called Jeppesen. There's only one company in the world that actually has what I will call it aviation grade data for taxiing. And like I said, that's this company called Jeppesen. They're owned by Boeing. And the way they get it, I believe, is that they are essentially paying employees to open up the taxiways in like Google Earth, and then trace out the lines and then label them. And then it goes through like an approval and a certification process. It's actually extremely expensive to create. So Jeppesen has the data, but it's really, because it's expensive to create, it's expensive for people to license it. But that's where companies like ForeFlight get the information from. And then you say, well, how do other ATC programs get the data? And the answer is they don't. If you've heard taxi instructions from literally any other ATC solution out there, they're no better than ours. Works great often at larger airports where the runways and the taxiways have been curated a little bit by humans. But when you move into the medium-sized airports and the smaller airports, it all falls apart. By the way, your telltale sign is that when you have bad taxiway data, your telltale sign that something is wrong is when you say you hear taxi via Alpha Bravo. And that's because when Asobo / Microsoft sort of auto-generated the scenery, what they're looking at is like satellite imagery of airports, and they're sort of saying, that looks like a taxiway, but they don't know what it is, so they just call it Alpha. And then they look at another one and they say, all right, we'll call it Bravo, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the idea. That becomes basically what the taxiway data looks like. Everything is Alpha or Bravo at every airport, which is completely unrealistic. But everything that we have on here, what about feeding the FAA data in the US charts into the AI process? So there is no FAA taxiway data. The FAA doesn't have any. It's not published anywhere. It's not in any database. They don't have it. It's actually up to the individual airports to publish their own taxiway data. Now, the FAA will publish charts. They'll publish pictures of the taxiway data. But what they don't have is the geo data, right? The information that says this taxiway data is on this latitude and longitude, and this one's over here. So you can't get any level of precision with the data that the FAA publishes. OSM, yep, OpenStreetMap, great example of another one that has some taxiway data. They have a taxi path layer, but it's extremely incomplete. We tested it on a couple of airports and found that it was sort of there. This is probably the best way to put it. It sort of worked. Kind of fell apart real quick as we ran a few airports through it and realized that it didn't work well. So at the end of the day, it turns out there's actually only one place, only one source of truth for taxiway data in the entire world, and that's Jeppesen. Now, we're going to talk about a couple of really interesting things here. But the reality is that all of the things that I've just said, all of the reasons, right? It's hard and the data's not there and these guys do it this way and that way, et cetera, et cetera. well, let me actually, one more I want to do. How does the GSX follow me car work? The answer is it knows that there's taxiways, and so it can draw the path, but it doesn't know the names of the taxiways, right? To create a follow me car, you don't actually have to know the labels of the taxiways. All you have to know is that there's a taxiway there. ATC, on the other hand, actually has to give you the name of the taxiway. Now, it's an interesting problem, and we can blame the scenery developers for not, having good taxiway information. We can blame Microsoft. We can blame. Guys, I'm here to tell you. By the way, Make Runways, another one. Yep, let's give you another excuse here. Make Runways extracts the data from Microsoft Flight Simulator, but again, the labels are all wrong. So while you can see that the taxiway lines exist, you don't know what they're called. Again, it refers to everything as Alpha or Bravo at these small and medium-sized airports. Trust me, we've been the rounds on this. I've looked at everything. I've probably wasted more time trying to get, taxi stuff working properly than anything else. But these are excuses, right? That's not us. We don't make excuses. We make things work. No more excuses. None. We're done with that. We're moving on. We're actually going to solve the problem. We're going to be part of the solution. Oh, look, I've got to get my little my video thingy out from behind there. Behind that, it says excuses, in case you're curious. Let's go on here. We are announcing right now a partnership with Navigraph, who has agreed to give us access to their taxiway data. Their taxiway data comes from Jeppesen. So we, via our partnership with Navigraph, are now providing the taxiway data, or now have access to the taxiway data that Jeppesen provides to all of the other providers out there through that partnership. I am really, really excited about this. Now, there's some limitations with this partnership that go along with this. The first limitation is that the Jeppesen data only has about 1,000 airports. Now, that's actually pretty good because worldwide there are really not that many large airports, and there's only, a certain number of towered airports, et cetera. So 1,000 is going to give us pretty good coverage there. The second limitation is that you will need to be a Navigraph Charts subscriber in order for ATC to give you correct taxi information based on the Navigraph data, right? So you'll have to, if you're a Navigraph Charts subscriber, this is all just going to light up and it's going to work, and ATC will give you, the taxi instructions that are based on that Jeppesen data. So excited about this. But that leaves us with a situation where, we've got probably another 3,000 airports worldwide that are towered where we don't have data. And it leaves us in a situation where we're asking our customers to buy a third-party product in order to make our ATC service work properly. I don't love that. So while I am extremely excited about our partnership with Navigraph around this, and I'm extremely grateful to them for making this possible to us. And anybody who's a Navigraph subscriber or thinking about becoming a Navigraph subscriber, please do so. Let's support these guys for this, for what they're doing for us here. But if you don't fall into that bucket, or we're talking about airports that are not covered by this data, we have another solution for you. In other words, those are just more excuses. And today we're throwing the excuses out the window and we're bringing you solutions. So I'm going to bring Ryan into this, and he's one of our developers. And Ryan is going to talk about what we're doing for our folks who are not Navigraph subscribers, and or what we're doing for our folks who need good taxiway data at one of the airports that may not be covered necessarily by the Navigraph data. So Ryan, if you're with me, take it away, my friend.
I'm here. Good to see everyone on the stream. I love watching the comments. Do you hear me?
I think you're good. It looks like you're good. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Just watching the comments about the Navigraph partnership are really exciting. I was pumped. I was up till 2 a.m. last night, like tinkering around. I'm like, I think it's working. I think we got it. So it's super excited to see that data come in. But like I said, it's not the end all solution because there are still some gaps in it. And so I wanted to present something else that we've also been working on that's going to let us take control of the data that we use for taxiway editing. So this is a tool that I put together, and it's based on a lot of the things that you've probably seen if you've seen our online tracker. It's the same map, but this is going to let us actually modify some of the taxiway stuff. So we've been doing this in phases, and I kind of just wanted to show you where we're at right now. But I'm going to just plug in an airport that's by me. This is McCollum International Airport. And if we get the taxiway info, you can see that we pull up a picture of the airport with all the taxiways. Now, this is the taxiway data that Asobo has loaded in. And so we were able to get access to this pretty easily. But what's nice is I can take this data and I can actually make a clone of it. So I'm going to say this is going to be amazing. And we're going to clone this airport. Now what I have done is I have my own copy of the airport that now I can start modifying. So one of the biggest problems that we have with the taxiway data that comes from Microsoft isn't necessarily that the paths are wrong, although some places we do have issues with that, but it's really the taxiway numbers are wrong. And so what this is going to let us do really quick is just to change that data around. So we can put together some, more in-depth tutorials, but I just kind of wanted to show you, real quickly how I can go in here and I can just start selecting taxiway data, filtering things out. I have a lot of controls in here. So let's say right now I have taxiway Alpha on the north and Bravo on the south. Let's say that those were wrong. I can actually just select all of Alpha and I could rename that to Charlie and save. And now that I've saved it, we can see once it saves, then put the save button again. Well, we're having issues right now.
This is why we're not launching it today. You're going to get it shortly here. We'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah.
Exactly. So all live demos always fail, in case you didn't know that. But yeah, you'll have the ability to change the taxiway labeling. Once you've done that, once you feel like you're at a good spot, we're going to build a way to publish those changes. But other things in this tool, you'll be able to test routing. So we'll be able to drop pins and say, hey, I want to go from here to the start of runway 27. And it was going to show the path, show what the new taxiway instructions would be based on your map. Once you like it, you can publish it. Other people can then use it. So it's really a cool tool. And we're going to
wait, Ryan, say that again. What happens when you've created a set of taxi instructions that are correct?
Yes, so you get to publish them, and now other people can choose to use your airport. So let's say that you had some third-party scenery and you tweaked that, you published it out there, and now other people will say, oh, here's a third-party one. I can enable that, and I will get their instructions, or I'll get their version of the airport. If it's really good, you'll be able to submit it to SayIntentions, and we'll be able to actually mark it as the global default. And so we are going to work on bringing together everyone's airport and information, really crowdsourcing this to make a better product for all of you, to where we can all get good taxiway instructions. So super exciting. We're planning on releasing this soon. I'll let Brian tell you.
Oh, you're gonna let me make the promises. Okay, I got it. All right.
Monday is the plan for phase one, I'll call it, and that's being able to change the names of the taxiways. Obviously, you're going to think, well, what about the airports where the taxiway data is just garbage? I want to add taxiways. I want to move them. Yes, that's definitely on the books. That's going to be a bit later because, we want to make sure that we build a UI that's not clunky and that works. Hold short points. That's something that we want to plug in. Gates. We want to make sure that we have those gate numbers right. All those things that, definitely the larger airport, you want to be right.
And there's some additional things that we're going to be able to do with that. And again, referring back to situations where, published data is simply non-existent or incomplete. Gates, for example, once we get to V2, I want to be clear, this is not a V1 feature, but things like gates will be able to tag with, names of a specific airline, for example. So if you're in a United airplane and you land in Denver, we'll be able to attach that metadata to a gate and make sure that United flights get routed to the correct gate, for example. All because of the crowdsourcing thing. As Asa just said in the chat, there's nothing to download. There's no things to install in your simulator. There's no there's no plugins, there's no stuff, right? This is all online. This is the advantage of a cloud infrastructure. This is the advantage of, running shared services. This is the advantage of modern application design, right? Where you're not installing stuff on your PC. We don't expect you to go into your plugins. There's no FPS hit, none of that stuff, right? So once we decide that taxiway data is good, we publish it to the world, and we can do all kinds of interesting things with that. Just to reiterate, V1 that you're looking at right here will launch on Monday. And yes, there will be a review to validate the data. Our moderator team is not going to make data available to people as the default until it's been approved. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it, or that you can't grab someone else's taxi data and use it as your own if you want. So those of you running custom scenery, for example, will be able to pull up an airport, select if somebody else has built the taxiway data for that custom scenery, select it and say, I want to use that as mine. So this keeps you in 100% control over your ATC experience, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah,
so,
and actually, what's really awesome is you could be in a flight, you could have landed, and you could say, "Oh, well, that wasn't right," and you could pull up this taxiway map, and you can make changes live, and then ask for new instructions, and it's going to take those new changes that you just put in there.
Instant.
Mark that airport as
you don't have to restart the sim. You don't even have to restart the app. You don't have to do anything. It just takes over, and away it goes. It now has the new data. Ryan, how long does it take somebody for an airport like the one that we're looking at here to go in and relabel the taxiways so that they have
and that's what I was hoping to demo, and I could get crazy and open the Chrome Inspector.
No. I think it's more about is this something that takes us somebody who's never done it before. Let's do somebody who's never done it. And
I mean,
really
my plan is to make some videos and kind of really show you how quickly you can do it, especially if the taxiways themselves are grouped properly. It could be a matter of minutes where you would select A, rename it to what you needed it to be, select Bravo, rename that. Obviously, the bigger the airport, the more things you're going to want to tweak, the more complexity it is. But you could literally do this in just a few minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes, and the better you get at it, the faster you can do it. I think Ryan can do an entire airport in less than like 60 seconds now. He can fly. It's really cool.
Depends what's wrong, but yeah, I mean, we tried to make it intuitive, let you select things. You have modifier keys, so you can add to selections, you can remove things from a selection. So we try to make it intuitive, but it's once you gotta get in there, it kind of starts making sense.
And Chris, yes, V2, which is we're gonna do V2 in 3 to 6 weeks before that's launched, but that will let you add parking areas, so you'll be able to say transient parking, cargo area, FBO, etc. We actually can already do that. That's part of the point of interest tools that we have on our website right now. You can already add those things, and it does work. It will get you taxi instructions to those places. But we want to integrate that tool with this tool so that you can do it visually, and it all comes into the same spot. So I'm really excited about this. And yes, V2 will also let you, again, label gates. We'll add metadata for, which airlines typically go to which gates, as well as, labeling the general aviation parts of the airport as well. So this will be a complete solution. And yes, with this type of solution, we will be able to provide progressive taxi. Again, something nobody else out there can do. And I'm really, really excited about this because I think it demonstrates the philosophy that we've had at SayIntentions from day one, which is no excuses, just figure it out, right? Let's get it done. So, I don't want to, no more blaming, Microsoft, no more blaming scenery developers, no more blaming whoever we want to say is their fault for the situation that we're in. The reality is it's probably nobody's fault because the data's just not there. And therefore, we're going to make sure that we have a way to get the data. And we've done it in such a way where it's fast and easy to do. If you want to set up your favorite airports, you can. This is going to be great for everybody, and I'm super excited. JM, I'm laughing at your comment. I tried it out for the first time. I only got 5 pilot deviations in the first 5 minutes, just like when you fly for real, right? Yep, super realistic. By the way, did you call the number? I have to ask because I'm really sad that I went to a lot of effort to set up a phone number and make sure that something happened when you call that phone number, and nobody calls the number. So if anybody gets a pilot deviation and calls the number, let me know. I want to know your reaction. All right, let's shift a little bit. Thank you, Ryan. You are a friggin' rock star, and one of the things I love about SayIntentions is that the other software engineers are way smarter than me, which works out very well for you guys. So let me.
Well, it's been a lot of fun working on this, and I'm looking forward to pushing out more updates.
This is a cool project. This is seriously cool. It's fun to do something that nobody's done before, right? So yeah, I'm really excited about this. All right, there's that, and let me get my camera up there. And by the way, we're calling this. It has a cool name. Hang on, I got to get the right window back under my mouse. We're calling it TaxiTuner. We might change the name, but we thought that one might work. All right. So once the dust settles, just to be clear, this is how it'll work. If you're a Navigraph Charts subscriber, see, you can't read my thing. If you're a Navigraph Charts subscriber and your airport is in the database, air traffic control is going to use that. If not, and there's custom instructions that you have for your favorite airport, we'll use that. By the way, that could go to the top. You can rearrange these, right? If that doesn't work, and there's custom instructions that someone else has created, we'll use that. If that still doesn't work, then we're going to fall back on the Microsoft taxiway data that we've been using. And if still it falls out the bottom, we're going to say taxi at your discretion. We're not going to shut down your flight or tell you that you can't depart or anything like that, right? So V1 of TaxiTuner. Let me be clear. The Navigraph integration with SayIntentions for the Jeppesen taxiway data will be launching on Monday. All right. The TaxiTuner, where you'll be able to go in and rebuild the taxi paths at your favorite airports and get it all set up just the way you want, launches on Monday. V2 of TaxiTuner, where you will be able to go in and add, gates and parking and add taxiways and remove taxiways, not just change the labels, is probably 3 to 6 weeks before we'll launch that. But that one's definitely coming. All right. So hopefully that gives you a sense for how this is going to work. We've got solutions here for the taxiway problem. I'm really excited about them. And this is really going to elevate the experience that you have with SayIntentions. All right. So what else are we working on now? IFR approaches and arrivals, VFR in Europe. We want to get it right. More regional accents. We hear you. They're coming. The way we curate our voices means that we can't just start plugging in default AI voices because they don't sound like real air traffic controllers. We've heard how those work. When you just start saying, I want a voice with a Scottish accent, and you fire it up, and they don't sound like air traffic controllers. So we actually hand curate each of our voices, which is why the regional accents are taking a little longer to roll out than you might expect. Always, general bug fixes, crowdsourced taxi maps. We talked about that, and always focused on improving response times. I am proud to say that for the entire week, I believe we've been under 10 seconds response times. By the way, if you listen to live ATC, the average response time is right around 5 to 6 seconds for an open request to an air traffic controller at an airport. And it tends to go up as you move to smaller airports and down as you go to bigger airports. But, a 5 to 6 second response time, which is where we're aiming for, we're getting very close to, is extremely realistic in the aviation world. So very excited about that. And then, of course, just a reminder on our long-term roadmap, terrain awareness is now moving to the top of that long-term roadmap list. We hear you coming, no problem. We have the data. We know how to solve it. It's just a matter of putting the effort in to get that done. And we talked about this last week, but I just want to remind you what that long-term roadmap looks like, integration with virtual airlines. I do want to bring Note of Awareness into this because I think that's something that will really separate the capabilities of AI ATC from others, right? The idea that we can interpret a NOTAM and then apply the intention of that NOTAM to the communications with the pilots is going to be incredible. And we talked about, last week, we talked about the scenarios in 2024, search and rescue, fire. We want to be able to light those up with some AI on the back end. chatter that matches the environment, of course, traffic aware, traffic injection, the living world dream scenario. We talked about all of that. We'll get into more detail on all of this at another time. That puts us again right about the 45-minute mark here. I'm happy to answer questions if you guys want. I will tell you next week we have another major announcement. A major announcement next week that I am extremely excited about. And I will also tell you this. We have another really cool announcement the week after. And I don't know what we're going to do after that because we're running out of things to announce. But I'm actually next week. It's everything I can to keep a lid on this one because this one's really cool. We're turning it up to 11 and maybe even 12. So stay tuned for that one. Questions? I'm happy to answer them. Right, we still got Ryan here, I think, who can answer questions. If you want to ask questions about the taxi thing, fire them off. Yeah, we're running out of weeks to announce stuff. That's funny. All right. The current state of AI traffic support. Yeah, I can talk about that actually. We have the baby steps of. Well, let's go back a little bit because AI traffic support implies a lot of different things. The first thing we want to do is improve our chatter so that it matches the environment a little bit better. Whether or not you consider that a traffic thing, I don't know. Well, I lost my thing there. But we do want to improve the chatter, the background chatter, so that it's got a little more relevance to what's going on. That's not a significantly difficult project, but we've been so focused on the other stuff that you've seen that we felt like things like getting taxi working were more important than improving the chatter. So we're getting there. But the one that I'm really excited about as a short-term goal, where we're actually already delivering, is this traffic-aware instructions. And when I say we're already delivering a little bit on this, if you've taken a flight in SayIntentions in the last couple of weeks, you may have heard a traffic advisory. Traffic at your 4 o'clock, 2 miles, or probably not 4 o'clock. Yeah, you might get, well, that's probably not. You're probably not going to get a 4 o'clock. Traffic at your 11 o'clock, 2 miles, same altitude, Cessna 172, right? So that's traffic advisory. So that's a sort of proof of concept of traffic awareness in the flight sim universe and ATC responding to that traffic as it's doing stuff. So this is going to be fantastic. And the next steps on that are things like, telling you to hold short if there's an airplane on final, or telling you to go around if there's an airplane on the runway, et cetera. So not necessarily controlling the traffic that it sees, but at least demonstrating ATC awareness of that traffic. So I'm very excited about that. And then, of course, we move forward with then controlling that traffic and move forward again with injecting the right amount and the right kind of traffic. So baby steps to get there. It's an incredibly difficult project. Remember, we are less than 4 months old. And we are smashing out new features rapidly. So hang in there. We're going to get there. And
looks like Vincent has one in the chat also, I could address if you like.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah. How do we know you're not duplicating others' work? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's step back and talk a bit more about how that works. First of all, if you are a Navigraph chart subscriber, you obviously don't want to probably navigate or not navigate, redo Navigraph's work. So we are going to show an icon on the taxiway editor that says, hey, this is a Navigraph supported airport. What I'm not going to do, because it kind of goes against our contractual obligations with Navigraph, we can't actually show that data. But I mean, if you're a subscriber, you're pulling up the charts. I mean, you have it all in front of you anyway. So you probably won't be editing those. If other people have made changes to taxiways and have marked theirs as public, which basically means I feel like this is good enough for other people to use, you're going to see that in the list right whenever you hit on that page. And so you'll have the list. They'll give a description, a short name. If it's helpful, we can even add description fields. But you'll be able to select that as, I want to use that one as my default, even if it wasn't set up to be the global default across all SayIntentions users. So if they're working on it and they've marked it as public, then you'll see it immediately, and you won't have to reinvent the wheel and do what they did. If you see what they did and you're like, they were so close, there's actually this other part over here, you can make a copy of yours or of theirs and make that tweak for yourself, and then even publish that. If we find out that we're getting hundreds of them, obviously, we could reconvene and
we'll
come
figure
up with
something
new
out.
strategies. We can maybe add some voting, systems and the good ones bubble up. But
hey, Ryan,
we
how
wanted to
cool
solve the problem.
How cool would it be if like 3 weeks from now we're sitting down and we're like, oh, we got this problem. We have too much taxiway data.
Yes. That would be amazing.
That would be great.
That would be true.
Yes, these are the kinds of problems I'm hoping that we have as a result of a solution like this. But just keep in mind, we're extremely flexible and adaptable. Remember, everything lives server side, so it's not like it has to go through, some long deployment process and before you can even touch it. Like, you're going to get to start playing with this stuff right away. And if something's a little off and something's not working the way that we want it to in terms of the process flow or the features or the buttons, we're going to adjust them. We'll get it fixed. It's not that big of a deal. And by the way, that I want to emphasize, and again, I hate talking about price, but I feel like it's worth mentioning here. One, if there's an advantage, I get it. Nobody likes a subscription. Got it. Full stop. It's terrible. But if there is an advantage to a subscription-based model, it's this. We have to earn your business every single month, right? If we're not continuing to provide value, if we're not continuing to make it worth the money that you're paying us, stop paying us, right? But we are heavily incentivized to continue to deliver, to continue to innovate, to continue to put a smile on your face. We have to, or we'll die. Right? It's that simple. We have to do that. All other, and it seems like the way the entire rest of the community is designed, and again, I'm not talking about any one solution here. The entire rest of the community seems to be based on, give us your money and we may or may not deliver on any of the promises that we've made after, right? And by the way, most of the projects, as I look at the history of flight simulator add-ons, end up not delivering so much. So, you do have a little bit of an advantage with us here where, again, we want to continue to put a smile on your month, a smile on your face every single month. And again, if we're not doing that, then stop paying us. We're heavily incentivized to keep you happy and continue to do really, really cool stuff. And I can assure you, we have no shortage of cool stuff that we can plug into this. We've got, the world's coolest AI tech stack sitting underneath this, and there is a lot of cool stuff that we can do. Calendar pick. We announced the winner for the month last month, but I did want to mention something about that. I totally forgot about that. Thank you for mentioning that. We're doing what we call, the contest is called Shoot Your Shot. So there's going to be one winner each month, and they're going to get a 2-week subscription. You do not have to be a current subscriber to enter. So you can go download our liveries right off of our website. Just go to the website, go to more. There's a download livery section, I think. And you can download them right off there. Then go shoot some really cool like footage of your, get some photos of the airplane in the air. And once a month we pick a winner of the coolest shot, and they get two free weeks. We just added the PMDG 737-800 cargo version. And we added the some more liveries for the Phoenix A320. So there should be something in there for you to grab. And, of course, we've got a whole bunch of general aviation themes as well. Okay. Whose questions have we not answered? Scenery that is out of date compared to the Jeppson published airport diagrams. KORD comes to mind. Yeah, this is the whole point of this is that if that data ends up being, old or incorrect or whatever, open it up in the taxi editor and fix it. And that can become your default. You're going to be in control of the taxi data. And like I said, I really hope we hit a situation where we go, oh no, it's too much data. It's hard to manage. That would be so cool. Other questions? I totally forgot about this. I have a feature to announce and I didn't even put it in the slide deck. I really didn't do this on purpose. We have a brand new feature, AutoTune, right? This has been the subject of a lot of discussion in our chat room, in the Discord room this week and even a little bit before one more thing. Exactly. I said, I can't top the taxi thing. So this isn't the one more thing. I can't pull a Steve Jobs here on this one. But the discussion has been around this concept of AutoTune. You're a busy pilot. ATC says contact departure on, 124.35, and you're like, oh crap, busy. And The problem is compounded when you've got to grab your mouse and you're trying to fly the airplane and you're trying to use your mouse to turn a knob, and it's horribly obnoxious. So starting now, as soon as this call ends, as soon as we're done with this live cast, I'll go publish a new version. Version 2.4.0.2 includes a feature called AutoTune. And it's just a setting. You can turn it on or off. If you want it on, turn it on. If you don't, turn it off. That's fine. But as ATC gives you frequencies, those frequencies will automatically go into your standby on COM 1, right? So if ATC says contact tower on 118.3, you'll look down and 118.3 will suddenly be in your standby on your radio panel. And then all you have to do, if you want to make it nice and smooth, is go into Microsoft Flight Simulator and attach a keybind to swap the radio. So you'll hear contact tower on 118.3, you'll see it in the standby, hit a button, it'll swap the frequencies if you've set it up in Flight Simulator, and it'll go. So do you have to call out the frequency before it switches? No, because you're going to be the one that switches it, right? You'll just go into Microsoft Flight Simulator, you'll attach a keybind to the frequency swap, and so you'll hear contact tower on 118.3, you'll press that button to swap the frequencies, and then you'll be talking to the next position. So I felt strongly that you should be in control of the moment that it flips, and you should be able to go back. So this largely solves all of that. One question, is nav supported? No, we actually decided not to do that, mostly because the bigger airliners already have auto-tuned nav for approaches and things like that, and it would have conflicted with it. But this is going to be super cool for you guys who fly in VR, no longer trying to use your little mouse wheel to manipulate a scrolly thing while you're under the hood. It's horribly obnoxious. AutoTune does work. It works with the iPad. So I don't know if you've seen on your iPad, if you just touch a frequency, it automatically will tune your radio to that frequency. So yeah, super, super excited about this. But yeah, the reason we opted not to do nav is because the FMC in most airplanes controls the AutoTune on the nav radio. So we left that alone because we didn't want to mess with it. I'm really excited about this feature. I admit I was initially trying to understand why people wanted it so much. And then once it was clear that I was wrong and everybody wanted it and I was just an idiot, I went and built it. And as soon as I started playing with it, I was like, oh, I love this. This is really, really, really cool. Instantly, as soon as I started using it, I was like, okay, you guys were right. I'm not afraid to be wrong, which is good because I'd be afraid all the time if I was. I'm wrong a lot. So thank you, everybody. This has been so much fun. And huge thanks to Ryan for the incredible work on the tool that we have here that is an absolute game changer. And I'm really, really, really excited about that. Thank you, everybody. A transponder. Derek, thank you for asking that. I actually was going to ask the community about the transponder thing. Sorry, I know we're way off the topic here, but I really want these discussions to be informal, so I don't mind talking about this. We can auto-tune the transponder, yes, and I think we're going to do that. I just have, I didn't do it yet. So maybe I'll have it done by the end of the day. But as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go publish 2.4.0.2. You'll start the app, it'll auto-update, and then you'll have auto-tune, all right? Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. Thank you for being the most amazing community in the entire flight sim world, maybe the entire gaming world. I've never experienced anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. The lack of toxicity here is refreshing, and I deeply appreciate all of you, more than you know, really. Or this project would not be fun without you guys, and so thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Thursday, where we're going to turn it up to 11 or maybe 12.